chat on screen properly. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. Live chat. All messages visible. Okay, so there's going to be a few minutes of dead air here as I finish loading the vehicle to move. I have to take a couple of machines from here that are no longer useful here, and those will be going to the new place with me and Stormy. So for now, I'm sorry, but you're all going to be stuck with this pointless view for a minute. I did intend to create a planky for you guys to watch. Unfortunately, planky never got built. So, yeah. At some point, I will build a planky. But for right now, you're all going to be stuck just watching a bit of dead air and that. Let's see what we got here. Okay. Yeah. Still no one watching. Not surprised. I will be back shortly. Let's get that lint off of there. So I would have been on time, but I had to finish another project for someone else. And I had a bit of a, I guess we could call it a digestive malfunction, be the best way to put it, which kept me trapped in the bathroom for a little bit. So, yeah, these things happen. In any case, I am currently here. I will shortly be back. And, yeah, yet again, blowing the chroma. It's not the only thing I blow. Okay. This no longer stays there. This goes with it. Really? Why would you do that? As you can see from this is someone else's creation. I would never have split a cord in that particular way or spliced it in quite that particular fashion. I do apologize for taking longer than I meant to get started, as I said, but we can make this an impromptu Ask Me Anything as well, since I don't really have an issue with those sorts of programs. So, there's going to be a little bit of cleanup at the beginning. Obviously, no one's actually watching me right now. That's fine. As I said, I was finishing a project for another client. And today is going to be the long-awaited finish, hopefully, of the chair that I've been restoring for my mother for over a year now. And it is actually somewhat cold here today. I think it's around 6 degrees Celsius. For those of you in the Scandinavia countries, not so bad. For those of you in, say, Australia, holy crap, that's cold. And of course, there will be a difference of opinion based on where exactly you are in the world. Okay, I can't trust you up there without having you locked on. Come on, come on. You're too stiff today. There we are. How's that? Okay. Just need you to grab it. That's all. Just hold on to it. There we go. And then this one, do the same. Okay. I can hear notifications coming in. On my actual phone in my jacket. So I do apologize for not turning off my ringtone. But that's going to stay on for a while. Because, well, you never know. I may get a call about something more urgent than what I'm doing. Not that I'd rather be doing anything than talking to you guys, of course. Okay, that goes there. These will go there. I will be having a cigarette before I start. Well, it turns out my phone's in my pocket. That's got to get changed. And these are going to be the parts of the chair that I'll need. The plan today is to completely strip all the last few bits using sandpaper, knives, scrapers, whatever tool I need to. Get everything glued back together. Give that the day or so to set. I may glue it back together in sections, so it may take some time. But in the meantime, I do have a few things. What's in here? Oh, that's where you went. Okay. That will come with me. I think, actually, I may need this if I recall what this is properly. Come on. Well, it smells of spruce wood, so I'm guessing it probably is exactly what I think it is. Yes, it's a sander. Some item I don't recognize. Oh, that would be a plane. And it's funny when you look at the end of a tool that you don't recognize, and then you realize what it is. And the sander is going to be important to today's proceedings, so we will keep those here. This, on the other hand, is my bandsaw, which I still haven't gotten put together, which, with my planer, will now be going in the van to get moved. And if you're in chat, make yourself known. I see there's still nobody watching, which is fine. Yeah, not surprised. I'm thinking everybody was watching the other stream that didn't actually happen properly. Because, well, YouTube is a bunch of dicks. And likes to change things without giving you any real notice. What is this? This is a pile of cut rope. That is what we like to refer to as garbage. Now, this one's heavy. Brush. I'm guessing that's probably Discord notifications, to be honest. But All right. I am done with all that. And you guys are now stuck with me. At least for the foreseeable. Won't be changing... Well, I don't really care that much about you guys seeing my mess. Because, well, you've all seen my mess once or twice. So, that will sit there. And I have a cigarette. Oh, and because it's that time of year again, you will also note the come on finger, where are you? There you are. The poppy right there. And I finally have someone in live chat. Hello. Who is that? Western Kind United. Hey buddy, how's it going? Waiting a truck with batteries to arrive in order to replace dead ones in my truck. Awesome. What sort of truck you got? And Prime Knight is in, says hello, hello, good Foundlander. Hi. Hello to my favorite... Wait. One of my two favorite Swedes. There we go. The poppy is, in fact, for World War I, yes. Hello, Vorkoanvil. 2014 Ram 2500. Awesome. I'm actually driving a 2014 Dabmobile. That would be a Dodge Grand Caravan. And just because this is probably going to be the last stream I ever do from here, I want to be somewhat comfortable while I do it. So I'm going to kick this around as much as I can and see about sitting. There we are. Okay. And I saw some chat go by. Anglosphere thing. We don't do it in the U.S. Oh, the poppy. No, it's, I think it's more of a Commonwealth thing, to be honest. I know Newfoundland because we had very, very heavy losses in a couple of battles in World War I. No more Wank Shack streams, no. Sorry, Prime. Sorry to disappoint. No more watching me play with my wood in a lonely shed. There we are. But I do have something for my friend Bleach today. So I was at one of the, I guess you guys probably refer to them as Dollar Generals in the States. We call them things like Buck or Two or Dollarama or the Dollar Store. Things like that. Different brand names and such. But I was at one of those a couple of days ago. Excuse me. Found myself in need of a lighter. So I picked up a Baby Vic because I did have a lighter, I just didn't have it to hand. And this one's really for my friend Bleach, as I said. Because the one I happen to put my hand on says New York, JFK. And in true Sultans fashion, fuck New York. Goodbye. And of course in true grown man fashion. Fuck the goddamn childproof. It is regularly said to me that I shouldn't remove the childproofs from my lighters, because what if a kid gets their hand on it? And I always point out that if they're a kid that's been properly raised, they know better than to pick up and play with a lighter. Also, if the kid can manage to pick my pocket without me noticing, aces. Good for the kid. Let's see. Poppy, Anglosphere. Diesel takes 2 batteries, so there's more to go wrong. Ah, I see. The plastic crap shack? Or the €1. Yeah, I suppose there's... I think in the UK they have Poundland, which I guess is more or less the same thing. I gotta rearrange this thing. Surprisingly, I've lost enough weight that the size of my head has changed. Which is always good news. And currently, I'm regrowing the face fuzz for Stormy because she got very mad when I accidentally screwed up my mustache trimming it. And I just realized how badly out of practice I am at this, because I keep looking over here at my own face rather than over here at the camera. And I keep getting notifications that I don't intend to answer for the next 2 or 3 hours, because I intend to get this project as close to finished as possible by 3 o'clock, at which point I will be leaving. So that's about 1.5, 2 hours at this point, I believe. What time have I got here? It is 1:37, so that's at least 2.5 hours. Though I may go a little beyond that. Let's see. Vorpal Anvil. Yeah, just to go back to what you were saying, Vorpal. The World War I thing. Ironically, Newfoundland's Memorial Day falls on July the 1st, which was the day of the Battle of Beaumont Hamel. Or Vimy Ridge. I'm terrible for remembering which one it was that we lost the most Newfoundlanders at. I believe it was Beaumont Hamel. But, and to make it clear, then Canada Day is then set for July 1st, which means that in the early part of the day, Newfoundlanders grieve, and we're supposed to then celebrate, but a lot of us still keep on grieving on the 1st of July. Does the stream look choppy to anybody? So I'm seeing some frame rate issues, I think. In any case, yeah, as you can see behind me, the cabinets are getting emptied out. I just took out 2 of my pieces of equipment, which never got set up here due to room constraints. The plan is that sometime in the spring, and Western Kind says the frame rate's good. Okay, excellent, thank you. YouTube decided to add a new feature while I was not streaming. It turns out now that you have to go to advanced settings to determine which orientation you want your camera to be in, if you're using a mobile device. So, of course, when I tried to start the initial stream, it kept telling me, no, your orientation is wrong. Gee, thanks. But I'm not shooting shorts, so I have no intention of using vertical video. Let's see. So yeah, the tool wall is slowly getting emptied out as well. I actually ended up using this little bugger for the first time yesterday because I had to cut some shims from a piece of lath, or lath, or yeah, L-A-T-H. It's thin board. This stuff, actually, I had to cut the end of that for some shims for a cabinet door I was working on. And when I say working on, I mean repairing to the best of my ability with the materials and tools that I have. Which actually kind of proved to me that I actually do know what I'm doing very well. And surprisingly, it didn't explode when I took the clamps off this morning. So that's always good. Let's see. Yeah, the battle where we lost a lot of Newfoundlanders, we lost, I believe it was 95+% of the Newfoundland regiment in one attack, because the Newfoundlanders were being used as shock troops. Well, you guys have seen the way I'm built. Kind of makes sense. I'm pretty much a typical Newfoundlander, physiognomy-wise. Let's see, what else have we got going on? Yeah, so the plan today is to get my mother's chair finished, or at least ready to be varnished. So the plan is to finish the few little bits of stripping that have to be done. I've been advised that I don't need to worry too much about the precision of the work, so I can be a little rougher than I would normally want to be. It is a very old chair. The intent is to have it put back together, and it will be a piece that will be used as well as a bit of a display piece. My grandfather, my mother's father, purchased it sometime in the 1930s, 1920s, and it's seen a fair bit of use. When I take the seat out, which is a piece that, if I recall correctly, is already perfectly well stripped, as well as it will be stripped anyway, you'll notice that there are some interesting dents in the seat. as far as I was able to determine from looking at it, it looks like either some child was playing with something and bashing it on the seat, or it was being used for a work surface at some point, because the dents are emphatic, to say the least. Offhand, I would guess it was probably something along the lines of, well, there's a number of possibilities for what it could be. Naval shells. I'm not sure about the context of that, Brian. I did want to point this out as well. When Stormy and I were moving, we discovered that she had an old projection TV that was no longer any good. And if you guys have seen the videos of the death ray, or the solar death ray, or whatever it's called on YouTube, he basically uses these pieces, the lens, and a frame made of wood to incinerate things. I intend to test out whether or not he's bullshitting us, simply by doing it myself. Whether the sun in Newfoundland is strong enough for that or not is questionable. It will probably have to be high summer before I get to that. But I think a little bit of Mythbusters-esque content would be interesting. Longer comment on Sweden in World War I didn't come through. Let me see. It does not appear to have. Let me get my phone and I will check and see. I'll just, I should be able to log into YouTube from my phone as well, so. Okay. And I am actually live with 2 watching. Turn the volume all the way down. Well, this is entertaining as hell. Pop my head up just to see how much of a lack I have. There we go. Primed. I don't see your comment here, Primed. Let me just check and see if anything's been filtered here. Longer comment. No, I'm afraid not, Primed. Let me see. Community moderation. Live chat is on. Participant mode is anyone. Okay. Back out of that. For the channel, blocked words. No blocked words. Because, well, yeah. And nothing is being held as potentially inappropriate. So, I don't know what happened to your longer comment, Primed, so it should be there. Callum Dayton is in. Hi, Callum. Hail all. Sorry I'm late. Been spray painting some minis. Awesome. I probably won't be doing any spray painting today, but I will be having to spray varnish the chair that I'm working on for this this stream. So, with no further delay, hopefully, I will change my angle here, and you guys can actually start watching what I'm doing, which will be dealing with these packages. And I'm really only putting the gloves on because it's so goddamn cold out here. New seat. No, it's actually the same chair I've been using for a while. It's a plastic Adirondack chair with a couple of cushions on it from chairs and couches that I've gathered up over the while. Let me just check. And Western Kind says, welcome to Callum. Okay, so I'm not ignoring chat, but I am going to be somewhat busy for the next few seconds. So I won't need these until I actually start working with the machine. So those will go there. Let's see. I'm going to put you guys in the corner a little more. I know, nobody puts chat in the corner, but sometimes I have to. Hello, Mr. Broom. How nice of you to join me. And that will be Mr. Broom, not Professor Broom. If you get that reference, then like me, you've probably recently seen a Hellboy movie or read a Hellboy comic. I actually ended up rewatching, out of sheer boredom last night, the newest Hellboy. Now, the one with David Harbour absolutely mutilating his lines. And that should be acceptable there. Prime Knight says, in short, Sweden only did, that glove won't conduct. In short, Sweden only did some naval showboating. We traded and were mostly neutral in World War I, just like World War II. You know, I don't fault anybody for staying neutral in a war. Personally, I look at the couple of current conflicts that we're seeing around the globe, and I kind of feel the same way. I think we should be neutral in pretty much all of them, since they don't directly affect us. Now, what I will need to do first is determine what pieces I have where. So this is pretty easy to figure out. This is the seat, quite large. I wrapped them in plastic to keep them from getting too wet once I had stripped them, because wood will absorb moisture. And as you can see, there's quite a few marks and dents in this seat. Smells vaguely vinegary, but does not appear to have absorbed any, so we're good to go on that piece. And I'm going to lay the pieces over here for the time being. I actually need something I can lay down to work on, because this surface is both dirty and a little splintery. So what I'm going to do first, before I go any further, is actually collect these pieces up and get them out of the way, and then clean off my work surface, which requires our good old friend, the dirty brush. The dirty brush. And generally, yes, if you're doing woodwork, and this isn't really super fine woodwork, but it is somewhat important that I keep it as clean as possible. But generally, if you're doing woodwork, you want to do as clean a job as possible. And I've always been of the mind that the job is not finished until you finish cleaning up. So there's some mess on the floor. Clearly, I haven't finished some jobs. Now, I will need this. Hopefully, there's not too many bugs living in it after the summer of sitting up there. This is just an old bed sheet that's going to be pressed into service as a cover for my tabletop. Okay, there we go. And it's really just to create a barrier between anything that's happens to be stuck in the work surface and the pieces themselves. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be working step by step from here to putting the, and I'll actually turn it this way so I can see what I'm doing. I'll be putting the back on first. As I take each piece out of the plastic, I will check to see if they're a back piece, a leg piece, or what have you. There is one piece there that's pretty easy to figure out because of the shape of it. That'd be this guy. This is obviously the top of the back. And took me a second to figure out how I'd wrap these. I did use these bungee cords with the hard plastic balls on them. And yes, I can hear you giggling. I said balls. But they were the handiest thing. The thing first came to hand for sealing up these bags and keeping the near vacuum that I packed them in as close to perfect as possible. And this is actually going to be the first piece I have to work on, because that needs to come off. And there's a little bit of paint on the back that also has to come off. And I'll be using my rotary tools for that. So that will get laid down there. I'm going to use this to cover that slightly so that that's safe enough. Now, rotary tool, or, well, it has to be the rotary tool because I've already moved my drill, so I can't use that brass brush. Okay. Also, since I'm vamping a little bit, don't forget to check the description for links to various places you can support me and other places you can follow me, which includes my Rumble channel. And let's see. So we're going to use this guy, my rotary tool. You'll notice it's Radley brand because, well, Radley is cheap. But I'm also going to need this guy, which is an extension, because I intend to hang this thing up and have it out of the way as much as possible. Now, get that over there. Did I not take that other plastic bag? Okay. Now I'm at a loss as to what I did with the other bungee cord. I took it off. That's unfortunate. There should be two over there, and there's only one. Did I leave it there somewhere? I did not. I must have thrown it back in the chair. Yes, I did. Okay. I do like to keep track of my gear as much as possible as well. That tarp belongs up there. These can go on there. There we go. Okay. So it's very difficult to see it. Actually, it's not too bad with this angle. You can see there's some figuring in there. I'm going to try my best to preserve that. But if it ends up mutilated or otherwise destroyed, it simply is how it is. Ideally, it'll all come up nice and easy, but I somehow doubt that's going to happen. So to start, I will use none of that stuff. And I don't want to use those small burrs for that either, so I'm going to try it with the wire brush first. I suspect that may not work very well, so what I'm going to do, there's a little bit of wood still stuck to the back of it, or sorry, a little bit of paint still stuck to the back of it right here. I'm going to use the wire brush to get that off and clean up some of these edges in here a little bit and get this cleaned up, and then I'm going to see about assembling this thing. So, I will point out I've never actually used this particular extension yet because, well, I just haven't had the opportunity. So we'll see what happens here now. Make sure I have power. I definitely do. Unplug that again. Now, wire brush goes to that side. This extension is probably Chinese made, so it works, but it's not super great. And I will need a pin for it. What do we have in here? Oh, a very interesting key for it, actually. I kind of like. I like how they have the pin for the barrel on a keychain. There we are, and that will turn. And have we got the right size chuck in there? We do have a different chuck if we need it, but I believe, tightening this down, that will fit the wire brush well enough. You guys aren't actually seeing what I'm doing with my hands, so I'll move. Oh, I'll change your angle a little bit. Let's see. We've got some new people in. Patriots flows in. Hi, Patriot. How's it going? Kellen wants to know who likes Woody Woodpecker. Having grown up in the late 70s, early 80s, I, ironically, was not a big fan of Woody the Woodpecker. I found his laugh somewhat annoying, even though I could emulate it. Now that appears to be secure, so we'll pull that pin out. And take that particular chuck out. And check to see if that fits well. It does. Very well, actually. So we will switch that back out again. Now, I think this one is meant to go onto the actual Dremel. No, okay. The thread on that is too big, so I'm guessing it's meant to be a secondary chuck cover for the extension itself. That, and I'll go in there, tighten that down to hand tight, and then put a turn on it with the little wrench provided. That should be good enough. Now what we want to do is check our connection there for power. What speed is that at? 1. Okay, so before I go any further, I need to hang this, which means I actually shouldn't have taken this off, because this is actually the loop that I use to hang it as well as store it. So that will go here, that comes up here, and that should be quite convenient for what I'm doing. Okay, so as you can see, and actually you can't see, sorry, I'll move that down here. As you can see, I'm working with the grain as much as I can. These pieces will actually be handier to have in there. That's the 3rd or 4th of those keys I have. Chuck range, 0.3 to 3.17 millimeter. So in proper terms, that's 1/8 of an inch. Comes with a shaft, key, a wrench, universal chuck head. The key, by the way, is interesting. Okay, so that's just some interesting stuff. Oh, it's telling you not to, do not make the winding too small for the flexible shaft. In other words, don't warp it over. And this stuff is all garbage now. Garbage cans run away on me. Okay. So, I'm working with the grain as much as I can. And I'm working at a slow speed as well. And it's actually kicking up a significant amount of dust, so I'm actually going to open my windows. I wasn't really expecting to have happen, but yeah. So yeah, all I've done now is take off that little bit of extra paint that was there. There's some paint left in the seams and stuff. I'm going to leave that because it's so deep and it's been there so long. This chair was probably originally painted red, though it may have been varnished. I'm not 100% sure. But what I'm also going to have to do is get my goggles on, because I'd rather not end up with too much of this stuff in my eyes, because some of that may very well be lead paint, because it's quite old. As I said, this is a chair from the 30s, possibly 20s. That would be the 1930s and 20s. And it would not particularly surprise me if they had lead in the paint. So trying not to get that in my eyes is good. Preferring not to have it in my lungs is better. I do have a piece of line that's hanging dangerously close to a very rotating piece of equipment, so I'm going to move that up as well. Okay, and the pencil should probably move up there. Okay, so I'll check chat one more time before I go right back to it. Let's see here. Callum, greetings Western. Everybody's saying 07s. Okay, sorry, Prime Knight. Reforming the seat or carving your ass print into it. I am actually restoring it, trying to get it back to a nicer position. And Prime says that seems janky. You're talking about this tool? It's a little janky, yeah. Given my absolute full-on, fully equipped shed preference, I'd have some sort of chemical stripper. Unfortunately, I'm not equipped to do that because I don't have the exhaust system for it, things of that nature. So I'm doing my best with what I have. Okay, speaking of doing my best, let's try not to make a mess in my toolbox. Okay, that and this will both sit actually in the toolbox. If I can get that open again, now I need my pliers to open that again. I will say one thing for Radley. Their tools seem to be pretty good quality. Their cases are not. Their cases leave a lot to be desired. Okay. Since there's so much paint there, I'm actually going to grab a scraper and clear that a little bit. I should have a scraper to hand for somewhere. Yes. Because I did foolishly donate some of the use of some of my tools to the last job I was doing. And I should be able to scrape a significant amount of this paint off in a hurry with this device, this tool. And for anybody who happens to think maybe I might be risking a bit of damage to this, you can see here this, I'll actually use a pencil to point it out. This color of paint, this deep red, that's the original paint that was on this piece. Then there's a darker brown, then there's this lighter kind of beige pink rose color, and then there's this slightly darker rose. Now, right here, you'd almost think this was wood here, this dark spot here. This is actually the brown, and it's just starting to verge into the red. So this is actually going to be the biggest hurdle I have to get this finished completely today. So hopefully I can get this done today and I won't have to do this again next week. But if I don't finish this today, it'll probably be a next week deal. What time are we looking at, by the way? 2:05. So I have about 2 hours to get this done. So let's back to scraping. And all I'm really doing here is knocking off the high spots in the paint. Okay, I think that might be a job for a knife. I did have a knife on me, yes I do. Okay. And since the knife is actually worn, I won't put the glove back on just yet. And I'm actually going to drag my knife across the paint until I get down to the darker stuff. And it's actually revealing that pattern quite nicely doing this. If you're seeing a little bit of hesitation here and there, it's because some of this is actually breaking off and flying up at my face as I'm scraping it. Now, I can show you here, I've actually gotten down to the actual wood. And that means I've gotten through the red, which is still very much a deep part of that. And you can see here, this looks like there was 2 layers of that dark brown applied at different times. 2 very thick layers. So hopefully, once I get some more of this broken up, I'll try the scraper again now, and we'll see what kind of effect that has. Okay, having broken through that initial top layer there, I'm actually getting very good results with the scraper. And you can see the kind of arabesque pattern starting to come through. This is a fairly popular pattern at the time. Now, I need to brush that surface again so I don't keep adding paint to the back of the chair. So you get to come up here out of the way. And I will be taking a piece of sandpaper to this when I'm finished on the back, just to knock off any wood that's stuck to it, or sorry, any paint that's stuck to it. Once I finish getting this as stripped as I can get it, I'll sit down and have a smoke and a chat with Chad again. In the meantime, if you guys are finding yourselves a little bored, pop on over to my Redbubble store, links in the description, and tell me which design you like the most or what you'd like to see more of on there. And I'll see if I can't make it happen. I think that may be as good as we can chance it with the scraper. But you can see the pattern pretty well now. This is the, sorry, I have that upside down, I believe. Yes. So this is the top of the chair back, and this is the pattern. It's actually kind of a nice arabesque sort of pattern. I'm going to switch back to the wire brush here on the rotary tool in just a moment. So I'll have a quick go at a few spots here with a knife, because I am a fan of blades, and I do find that blades tend to do cleaner work than... Okay, I actually made a mistake earlier. The lowest layer of paint, or covering on this, finish on this, rather, is not actually this red paint. There's actually a varnish below it. You can see I didn't quite scrape it off here. I'll see about getting a bit more of it off there. There we go. Part of the reason it's so dark is because this chair sat next to a wood stove for a very long time, and that's why it's got some of these dark spots on the back. Even though you scrape them, they don't change. It's because this wood essentially got baked for possibly decades or more, certainly years. And because of that, it's going to have taken a different color. You can see it very clearly on the back of the chair itself, the back of the seat back, rather, or the back of the seat, because that would have been in the most, the closest proximity to the heat source. One thing I will say for this this is probably old barn paint. And one thing I will say for it is, when you scrape it, it actually comes up, you get a dark spot like this, but when you scrape it, it's still got some very, very bright highlights in it. Let me just see if I can get a spot uncovered gently here. It's still got some very bright red highlights in it, which is absolutely impressive for something that may have been painted 100 years ago, or close to 100 years ago anyway. So let's see how much we can do with that rotary tool, shall we? And I will be switching back to chat once I get that cleaned up a little more. Come here, Mr. Rotary Tool. Come here, Mr. Chairback. Okay, so this is going to be the noise warning, guys. so I need a break because my hands are killing me. And brush is now hung back up. Good. So you can see how that had a much more beautiful carving in it than one would have assumed earlier. I've probably obliterated some of the really fine lines, but having brought that back out to where you can see it, I'm far happier with that. That's going to look really nice. Excuse me. Once it gets properly cleaned up, and I'm almost most of the way done with this, so I'm going to sit and have a cigarette now, because I am actually really appreciative of this. I did make a mistake. You can see in here there's some stippling that would have been carved in on purpose, and unfortunately I went and removed it thinking it was burn on this side. I may remove it on this side, I don't know for sure, but this has a beautiful old motif to it. This is a classic motif. It was very fashionable, for decades. I'm going to give the back a quick touch with the blade of the knife just to scrape up what few bits of paint might have adhered to it without actually tearing the surface any real amount. Put that back there. This guy will sit across the brush for a little bit, and we're going to have a chat. And let's see how this works out. Okay, so the stand is fighting me a little bit, so I'm going to be a bit mean to it and just drop it there. Oh, I just realized something. Oh, staring at my titties. I just realized I can't sit down right now because I have nowhere to sit. So we have 2 likes, 2 people watching. That's a good... Somebody's moist. Dear God. The things you see in chat when you swing past real flat, real... English. It's not that easy for people born speaking it. Let's see. Oh, I've gone all the way back to the beginning of chat by accident. Let's see. Prime said that seems janky. I hope he responded to my question of what exactly do you mean. And he says that sound is like nails on a chalkboard. I'm going to guess you mean the whining noise that the electric motor in that thing makes, unless you mean the actual contact noise of the brush, in which case I'm forced to agree with you. Let's see. Western Guide United says this stream is brought to you by the word moist. No. Moist never brings anybody my streams. My streams are always sponsored by the word flocked. And there's someone out there who gets that joke and is probably very mad at me. Humidity. Callum says 42 Tyranid bugs spray coated. It's impressive. Is that all just today? Just another paint strip, then base coat. And scraping action. Callum doesn't mind the sound quite as much. Western Kind says it reminds him of time spent at dentists. The good times. If you're the guy holding the drill, possibly. Clean teeth makes a clean mouth. That's very true. Perhaps copy. Primed has left off to do Swedish things. Okay, thanks for the heads up. Am I not on live chat? All messages again? Oh, I am. Okay. Okay, guys. Any questions in that list of things? Prime was asking if I was reforming the seat or carving my ash print into it. Neither. I was restoring it, or just cleaning it, really. Let's see. Yeah, it's almost drinking time, says Callum. Oh, Prime is still here. Excellent. Drinking time, so it'd be about 7 p.m. there. 6:37. I have a question, actually, for you, Callum, being that you're British. I've never understood if there's a difference between... over here, we have our 3 meals. We have English. We have breakfast, lunch, and supper, or dinner. Now, when I was a kid, Newfoundlanders called lunch dinner. What I'm wondering is, what's tea or high tea? Is that a different thing? Is it similar to brunch, as it's kind of its own thing, or is tea your guys' word for supper? Or do you guys actually eat supper? Prime says he's cooking some ham and white sauce with pasta. That sounds... Oh, 5 p.m., says Callan. Okay. If you want to drink at 5 o'clock, I guess that's acceptable. Jimmy Buffett certainly thinks so. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Ham in white sauce with pasta. That sounds suspiciously like carbonara. Tea is after lunch. There are 11 meals. Fucking hobbits. Wait, hang on. How can... Oh, okay, tea is after lunch. I thought you said tea was at 11 for a second. I was going to say, what about 11s? Not dinner or supper. So you guys use neither? Western Kind says he'll sit down with 4 pounds of brisket at some point today. Seems fair. I had about a pound of bacon for breakfast with deviled eggs. And somehow I'm losing weight. And Callum says, no. Okay, that's a interesting linguistic drift between our peoples. Being in Newfoundland, we're essentially old stock English. Tea isn't supper or dinner. We generally have dinner. Okay, so your evening meal is called dinner. Okay, so is tea a kind of a snack in the afternoon, or something that you do as a special sort of thing like brunch? And I do apologize if you guys hear joints popping and it bothers you. I'm stretching out my back. My bench is about an inch too low. Tea is snack for the afternoon. Ah, okay, but you might not be absolutely correct. I'm guessing that's more of an upper class sort of deal. I mean, I'm, I suppose, low middle class, working class, and I eat 3 meals a day, plus a snack sometime around 9 p.m., give or take. Ham, oh, okay, ham and bechamel. Okay, then. Says Prime. Actually, I haven't made carbonara in quite a while. I'm going to have to get to that. Tea is generally a posh thing. I kind of figured. Yeah. So the next time I hear one of the Sultans say they're having something for tea, I can call them posh and be safe doing so. Good to know. I can hear a Scotsman ringing in the distance as we speak. And I do apologize for the clunking you just heard. There's a small heater hanging on the hook beside the tablet stand. Okay. Oh, another piece of interesting news. I'll be going back to school in January. I'm planning to take an online course in software development. Because, well, I hate sitting in a chair so much. Prime says we have fika. It's generally at 1400, and it's mostly coffee with optional biscuit or cookie. That sounds a little bit like a late brunch. Or alternately, a work break. Callum says school sucks. I disagree. I think learning is always a good thing, whether you do it informally or formally. In my case, I want to expand my skill set because, believe it or not, woodworking is not paying the bills right now. Not where I'm living, anyway. And damn it, Ardent needs his menthols. Ironically, I was able to find a very cheap source of menthols. Legal and very cheap. Okay, let's get back to this and get this finished. It's starting to cool off as it gets later in the day. Let me check the time, 2:33, and I've been going for a little over an hour, or not quite an hour and 15. So I'm actually really pleased with the way that this rotary tool is working. Academia is controlled by anti-whites. Yes, but the community colleges are still more or less safe. Yeah, I'll probably have to go through some anti-white orientation bullshit, which, because I'm going to be online, I can play Skyrim during. And, Skyrim belongs to the Nords. But, speaking of that, actually, Skyrim, I have a new laptop. I've acquired a new laptop, which should be sufficiently powerful enough to run video game streams. I'm going to set up my two favorite games, which I've already purchased for the system. It's an Xbox S, which I may stream from, or I may stream directly from the laptop itself. I haven't decided yet. I've already purchased Skyrim on Steam. It's just a question of exactly how that works out. Again, I'm a bit of a noob when it comes to this stuff, so I see some messages that I missed. Let's see. Prime says he did a measurement tool calibration course last week. That sounds very interesting. Western Kind, the real intellectuals invented the universities to begin with, and then the parasites creeped in later. That's true. And sticking with my... I see you, Callum. I'll respond to you in a second. But sticking with my general ethos of, a voice that's heard is generally a voice that's considered. I try somewhat to engage people. I will not be lectured to about how bad I am for being a white man, or a straight white man, or a man in general. I will be carefully pushing back. I'm very aware that if I push back too hard, I may end up expelled, and potentially charged with a hate crime. Let's see here. Callum says, Skyrim belongs to the Empire. Wrong. Nord-ruled Skyrim becomes a Thalmor vassal state. And Western Kind says corruption, and then retracts it. Yes, corruption is a problem. Communist infiltration is also a problem in, any number of places. As far as the Skyrim thing, I'll touch on that a little bit because I do like the lore, and, I'm a nerd. As far as I'm concerned, just because Ulfric may potentially be a turned agent of the Thalmor, and I do apologize if I'm spoiling Skyrim for anybody. But fuck, it's a 10-year-old game. If you haven't played it by now, too bad. But just because Ulfric may very well be a Thalmor, we'll call him asset for now, Skyrim does. It holds up extremely well, especially for an old school D&D geek like me. Yeah, I kind of see taking Tullius's word for it that the Thalmor will be a problem. The thing is, I think if you have a united Skyrim, united under the Nords, under Ulfric, I think, given the history of Tiber Septim, who became Talos, if I have that right, yeah, it's kind of mirrored the real world, what happens when the Saxon gets, hateful. We tend to take things that don't belong to us and we hold on to them for centuries. And then liberal white women. And, the other game, ironically, Western Kind, that I love very much is GTA 5. And no, GTA 3 is not horrible. There are scenes in GTA 5 dialogue which really make you think that it was proto-anti-woke. The scene with Trevor monologuing about not being a hipster, for example. Some of the other dialogues that you hear, the way Franklin's aunt, who's a pain in your absolute ass through most of the early part of the game, she's somewhat Trevor. Yeah, Trevor is a very interesting character to play. I wouldn't hang out with him in real life because, well, as Michael says, I don't want to wake up with my guts in a soup bowl. But yeah, the way that Franklin's aunt is such a woke Karen, it's almost prophetic. Let's get this game of tennis over before the Myth wears on. Yeah, I do like Trevor. Trevor is a fun character to play. And you can tell that the actor had a great time playing him. Stephen Ogg, if I remember right. But just to touch back on the Skyrim thing real quick before I go back to work here, if you could incorporate the Dark Elves, the Nords, and the Orcs as the, for the sake of better term, the loyal Skyrim army, uh, you'd have a force to be absolutely terrifying to the Thalmor, who are nothing but fancy pants, fancy knife-eared mongrel mutts. Uh, let's see. Prime Knight, he would steal your kidney, sell it, and give half of the money and expect a thank you. Fair. You've got a spare kidney. Not unlike Ren from Ren and Stimpy. Yeah. Ren was an interesting character in the original show. The second iteration of that show, I was not nearly as fond of. Anyway, back to it. And I will start on a low speed again. And I do apologize for the dental drill nature of this sound. Okay, I was just checking the condition of my brush. It felt like pieces of it may have been flying off. And I think I might be finished, at least with this piece. Well, I didn't get as much of the color out of it as I'd like to, and there's this section here that I want to work on a bit more, but that's not bad. I knew I wasn't going to get all the color out of it without stripping it more than I really wanted to. But I think that turned out a lot better than what it looked like when I started with all that ugly paint on it. So that should be quite nice. Now, the sandpaper. What are we looking at here? This is 100 grit. And I'm not too concerned with running sandpaper across it because all I'm really doing with the sandpaper is stripping off the little bit of paint that would have adhered to the back. Old paints are generally thermoplastic. I think a lot of paint, even now, still is. I don't work with paint very much, so I couldn't really tell you for certain. But I know that old paints tend to be very thermoplastic, and that means that the hotter they get, the more likely they are to lose their cohesion and be absorbed into another piece. Okay, let's see if we can knock some of the old dust off of this. And actually I have an older piece of sandpaper that I'm going to use. Actually, I have something better than 100 grit. I have a piece of scrubbing cloth. And that's not taking everything absolutely off, but I'm going to need the sandpaper for this side anyway. So I'll take that older 100 grit, which is a little worn, and fold that up. This is from an old plate sander. This is really just about cleaning up the edges more than anything. I'm not really trying to put a round over or any sort of shaping to it. Okay, that's done. And back to the dirty brush. Well, that's unfortunate. And well, whoever did the work did a good job because there was damage to that being dropped. Okay, so that's one more piece done. We can now lay under here. I did talk before about how I had wrapped the pieces of this chair in order to avoid moisture getting on them. What actually tends to happen is raw wood tends to absorb moisture, and it doesn't matter how long it's been finished. What'll happen is once you uncover or remove that finish, the wood starts immediately to absorb moisture again. One of the good things about working in the cold here in Newfoundland is, even though Newfoundland is generally a very humid environment, in this kind of cold, there's not going to be a lot of transfer. Let's see. Prime is left. No, Prime is still here. 5 p.m. Just catching up on my conversation about tea being a posh thing and school. Skyrim holds up. Well, Prime Knight says the White Gold Concordat have the clause about Talos just to upset the Nords. I think they were trying to create another rebellion, to be honest. Let's see. Prime Knight, Ren and Stimpy, yes. Okay. Ardent Pardy, or sorry, Western Kind says Adult Party cartoon or something like that. I think it was Adult Swim, actually, on the Cartoon Network. Western Kind says he's just waiting on the man with the batteries still. That's quite the wait. Callum, to be honest, I would like something like that for my minis, just grinding off bits that I'd have to file or shave with a hobby knife. Yeah, you know, you can buy, here, I'll show you something. You can buy these really small and fairly low-powered rotary tool kits. They're rechargeable, and it's essentially the same sort of thing that nail techs, nail salon technicians use. which I find when you switch back to using, say, a regular rotary tool like this, the bits are actually handy as hell, but they're all really essentially the same bits. So you could go with something simple like this, like a Dremel, or a Radley rather. Sorry, a rotary tool. I tend to... I'm actually surprised Dremel hasn't gone to court to fight the whole copyright thing. Let's see. Hello, says they obtained a cat tree. They need to make a proper platform she can rest on because they're too small. Everything mass-produced is too small. If you have a large cat, you should probably talk to stainless steel fibers. Break off of those tooltips. They get in the floor unless somehow dealt with for years. They will pierce feet. Not very fun. If you're silly enough to walk... And I'm sorry, hello, I don't mean to be offensive. I don't care if I am. I just don't mean to be. If you're silly enough to walk around in a shop setting barefoot, you're a damn fool. But that said, you're right. Sometimes the wire will break off. I've had pieces of wire when I worked with wire wheels in a welding shop as a grinder, basically just cleaning up the welds. I've had pieces of wire wheel come loose and strike me in the cheek and stick in half a centimeter or more, which is why generally I suggest people get bees. This is a face shield. Now, currently I'm not using the face shield because, well, I'm not particularly worried about it. I'm standing more or less out of the line of fire when I'm working with that tool. But if you're working with something that can throw sparks or bits of metal, pieces of significantly large chunks of wood, it's not a bad idea to have an extra piece of protection. And by rights, because I'm doing so much work with... sorry, I do apologize for wiping my nose. It's rather cold and I'm sniffling. But by rights, if you're working with something like a wire wheel on a regular basis, having a magnet to drag across your floor isn't a bad idea either. Something like this. This is a rare earth magnet that I believe came out of an old subwoofer. Would have been a significantly large subwoofer, judging by the size of the magnet. But I usually... Now, this is actually loose for the first time in a very long time. But normally what you would do with that, or what I would do with that, is find a piece of very tightly woven cloth, something like silk, or a polyester satin sort of thing. Use that as your base layer on top of the magnet, and then get a few pairs of old socks, 2 or 3 old socks. Stretch them out fairly tight, and put those over the magnet. You can put a piece of line on that, and then, just to show you, this is the piece of line that was attached to that magnet until recently, when I had to remove the socks and the undercloth because they got damaged. But a piece of line about the length of one of your arms to your chest is more than enough, because that should fall to the ground and you should be able to drag that along your floor. These are great for picking up loose nails, loose screws. It would probably pull up some of those stainless steel fibers you're talking about as well. And this was fairly simple. This was just a little bit of braiding I did on a piece of nylon rope and then taped off the ends, though I could have also burned them to seal them up. And if you wanted to make it longer, you could simply go with that full length instead. Okay, I'm sure there are more chats that I've missed. Calvin says he likes cats, sweet creatures. You know, I say I'm a dog person, and that's true. But while I prefer dogs, I don't dislike cats particularly. I tend to distrust them, but that comes from trauma inflicted by a bad cat when I was a child. Currently, Stormy's cats seem to really enjoy being around me, especially Ollie, the newer rescue, the very, very pure white one. But yeah, if given a choice of any pet, I'm going for a dog. I prefer dogs to no end. I grew up with dogs. I was half raised by dogs. So, let's see. Hello is asking, is that for a chair? Yeah, that's the back of an antique chair I'm restoring for my mother. Callum says he needs a can of WD-40 for his gaming chair. Thing sounds like an old door opening. WD-40 isn't a lubricant, Callum. It's a cleanser. Your best bet is to get something like graphite grease and put on it, if you can find the absolute source of the squeak. Let's see. Hello, in a garage setting, it's easy to be lazy like that. Yeah, but I mean, I'm sorry, if you're walking around in a garage that's disconnected from your house barefoot, you've got issues. Never again learned your lesson. Yeah, fair enough. Use a magnet after I get around cleaning the garage. Footwear does pick up the fibers, you end up transporting them anywhere you go. Depends on the footwear. But yeah, there's hazards everywhere. Life is not safe. You can't avoid every hazard in the world. And like a damn fool, I'm looking over in my cabinet that I've been cleaning out, and I've just realized I had carving chisels this entire time. Oops. Oh well, job's done. Okay, moving on to the next piece here. And what I'm going to try to do now is to find, where can I put you? You can go over here. Okay. I'm going to try to find the spindles for the back of the chair first. And, of course, because I didn't really label any of the chair parts, the back of the chair, it should be fairly simple to find. Excuse me. Callum says in his experience you always forget something. That's what keeps things interesting. And yeah, you can't remember every single thing all the fucking time. You're eventually going to forget something. These are fairly narrow pieces. So what I will do is work them out of the bags. There they are. And just check, because it will be fairly obvious if it's not meant to be on the back of the chair. And I did, as I hope I recall correctly, mark the bottom pieces, the base of the chair, parts of the legs and such. And if I find negligible amounts of color on these, I will ignore it and just simply put these back together. That, unfortunately, is not a negligible amount of color. That also is one of the pieces for the bottom of the chair. So that will go directly back into this bag, and that will wait until later. Let go. There we are. And I'm just going to strip everything now that I know is not a chair leg, and just see what I'm dealing with here. Like a really shitty Christmas, this. Blackout's in. Let's see. Aloha, he says. Callum says he loves your Chaos Marine and you do the gods proud. And I've just lost chat again. Maureen is in. Hi, Maureen. I didn't see you come in. Glad to see you're here. And Blackout says thank you. And yeah, having seen the stencil, hopefully I'll have time to actually watch the actual. Okay, that's definitely a piece of the chair back. I'll have time to watch the actual video itself where you use that particular stencil. My watch later list is getting longer and longer every day lately. And I've found I've again been in the unsubscribing from people I don't watch constantly range again. You don't have to worry, Blackout. You're not on that list. You're definitely staying on my subscribes. That one also needs some work. Most of what has to be done is little, how to put it, taking off the stuff on the odd edges, because most of this was done hand sanded. see. This is fairly robust. I'm thinking this is probably one of the chair legs, or part of one of the leg set. Yes, okay. And that is probably another leg brace. Yes. So that will go into that bag. And again, what I'm going to have to do is knock the paint off the high spots. I will probably rapidly hand sand the main part of these just to get the rest of the color off them. I believe I have some 80 grit. I may even switch to 60 depending on how tough that old varnish is. That is the original varnish, by the way, that you're seeing on those. That very deep brown color. And that stuff would have been definitely a petroleum product, and quite possibly made with something in the region of kerosene in terms of chemistry. This feels like it might be one of the chair parts, one of the parts for the back. It is, and this is mostly stripped and pretty much ready to go. These old chairs weren't exactly delicate, but they weren't super, super robust either. So that's about I'd say about a 1/2 inch dowel end there. And even on this end, it's probably only about 3/4. And I actually did mark their positions. That's actually a 2. It's just held in a funny way and flipped. And if I still had access to the original video I did when I started doing this project, I'd be able to remember which side I was looking at when I put 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think possibly 6 for the back parts. But it's going to be one direction or another in any case. So, and I do apologize. I will be sitting down to have a quick chat with Chad again shortly. Right now, I'm just getting these parts organized. Why are you so weirdly wrapped? Oh, because I didn't have you all the way unwrapped. Okay, that's another piece of the bottom brace. That's chair leg. It's too thick to be anything else. So that goes back there. It's actually kind of entertaining doing this. It's a bit of a reveal video too, I guess. Let's see. Callum says you should try and do Tyrus Wreck. I think that's from that novel series he's very enamored of these days. Let's see. The guy is awesome. Seriously, Jango Fett, Mando, Boba, and Cad Bane combined are noobs compared to him. That sounds like... And I'm not trying to shit on your fandom by any means. We're all nerds here. But that sounds like a very boring character. It sounds like he's overpowered as hell. Not unlike, say, if you've ever read any of the old Mac Bolan books. Let's see. Blackout says he hates the new Star Wars. I'm right there with you. Finish with food. Back playing Dark Tide. Okay. Yeah, I did notice for a moment there, Callum, that there was one watcher. Not a big deal. Total Blackout saying he hates the new Star Wars. Bounty Hunter Wars was where it was out. Bounty Hunter Wars. Is that the trilogy that was in the extended universe? Which, yeah, I'm still choked at where it was at. Okay. Yeah, I'm still choked at Kathleen Kennedy for declaring all the extended, whatever term you want to use, universe, yeah, the old EU. I'm still pissed with her for declaring all of that not canon, and then mining the absolute fuck out of it for ideas. I mean, the Mandalorian show alone, Dengar and IG-88, yeah. IG-88, of course, popped up in the Mandalorian show. But if you ever read the Republic Commando series by Karen Traviss, she basically did the job on creating Caucasian Sasquatches. And hey, brother, hail. But Karen Traviss did the absolute job of creating, fleshing out the Mando culture better than anyone ever has. And now Kathleen Kennedy is forced to go back and try to retcon it. It's kind of like JJ Trek when they brought out the new Klingons. Or, ironically, in Deep Space Nine when they went back and they tried to, they had to explain the old Klingons versus the new Klingons. And then tied that into Enterprise, which was actually really good. Karen Traviss invented the Mandalorians. No. Sort of. You're not totally wrong. But really, it's George Lucas's baby. I think the first person I saw writing about Mandalorians as a culture was Greg. I want to say Greg Rucka, but I know that's not right. Oh, Mandoa, yeah. Let's see. Callan Dayton says the offense. What's this? The offense taken, Ardent. Dude is one tough bastard, but he's not immoral and does have his flaws. Oh yeah, I fucking love Republic Commando. Still play it every once in a while. I'm talking about the books, actually. Callum. They're very much worth reading. That's more leg parts, I think. Possibly. I may have to go through that small pile I've made to get the very outer edges of the chair back here. Let's see. Oh, no offense taken. It's okay, you can go ahead and be offended, I don't care. You know, it's a very obvious truth of the world we live in that if you want to talk, you have to risk being offended. You have to risk offending somebody. It's like Jordan Peterson said, how many people am I supposed to avoid offending? 1 in 10? 1-on-1? 1 in 1,000? At what point does it become acceptable for me to say something that might offend somebody? Or chair leg. Or chair back. Let's see. Sasquatch, Elite Warrior Culture Brotherhood, the adoption process. Fair. And Callum says he owes me some payback. Deal. Yes, Cal Scarata did nothing wrong. In fact, I repeatedly pestered Sargon during a live stream on his actual channel that he should read the Mandalorian series, the Republic Commando series. This was not long after the whole topic of dadism came up. Let's see. Hello, there are probably some way out there who would be rattled if you remind them of ice cream and puppy dogs. It's impossible to please everyone. Yes, and it shouldn't be even considered that you should avoid displeasing anyone. That's not how a free society works. That's more chair leg. Okay. Yeah, I really need a bit of a sit down. My legs are starting to hurt a lot. I have really bad knees, and cold weather is just exacerbating that issue. Okay, that should be 4. Oh, here. I think I've got too many pieces in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So that's my chair braces. That's for the bottom part. Those are the legs. I should only have 4 legs, and the fact that I have 6 pieces back there tells me at least 2 of those are parts of the back of the chair. This makes me wonder if there's not a second. Okay, let's see what we've got here. This is numbered. This is Okay. That's another part of the chair brace. I did label these, so I'm going to have a look and make sure none of these belong to the chair back. LFD, RUR, right upper rear, right upper front, right rear. Okay, so all of these are parts of the brace for the base of the chair. I'm supposed to have, I think, 6 pieces in the back. So I'm going to check that now, which means I have to go through those bags as well, just to find those. And if you noticed the sound that made rolling across, okay, so I'm supposed to have 2 big, 4 small. I don't think they really have a particular order. It says 2. It says 4. And 3, and again, by process of elimination, 1. So, right now, we've got my 4 pieces, more or less, where they should be. And I can do a quick show off here. Get in there, you. There we go. So once I go to glue that all back together, I need 2 more pieces, which are in that pile, to put back in there. Come on, you miserable little bastards. There we go. Oh, something interesting that I discovered when I first took this chair apart. It's actually made with fish glue, which I thought was entertaining and hilarious because I'd never seen fish glue. One thing I did discover in a hurry though is that fish glue is fucking tough stuff. Now, let's bring that back up. Copy pasted. Hello. Yep. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's impossible to please everyone. Well, it's important to try and understand where others are coming from. To so strongly invite others to help modulate your effort to control your tongue, it's often not a very good idea. No, absolutely not. Words from another conversation. Okay, fair enough. Let's see. Calvin says he's listened to the first audiobook on YouTube. Very good, very interesting. Couldn't get into the second. Bad narration audio. Clones had it rough. Well, Clones always had it rough. Yeah, the Null ARC Troopers in general, but the Nulls are fucking awesome. Things one does for a pair of ichthyoskin gloves. Ichthyoskin. I don't want fish. Why does salt pair so well with potatoes? Because butter is God's gift. And if you don't have salted butter, something's wrong with you. Okay, so those are the 4 pieces I need for that. These, I'm hoping, are the other 2 pieces I need. But I suspect this is actually a frigging leg. Which will also work because I'm going to have to do some gluing and clamping anyway. This has a right rear on it. So that's definitely a leg, and as you can see, that needs some serious stripping. That original varnish is showing through the red paint quite a lot, but as I said, that red paint is quite the bugger. So there's going to be a fair bit of hand sanding done to this as well. I don't think I'm going to finish this today. It's already been 2 hours, and it's coming up on 3:30, so I doubt that will be getting finished today. And this is very cold. That is not the bag I'm looking for. So that will go over there. So my focus for the rest of this stream is just to get those pieces here, the parts of the chair back finished and ready to be put together. I may even glue them up today, but more likely than not, what I'll do is take them indoors. Let me just move that over a little bit. I'll most likely take them indoors, let them warm up, and then glue them inside. And possibly even do the final finish. The spray varnish may also be done indoors. though I don't know about doing that. I may wait until it gets very... We should get a blast of, I guess you guys refer to it as Indian summer as well, but we should get a blast of warm weather at some point. Another leg. And hopefully that'll be good enough to get those varnished and dried. If not, like I said, I will have to do them indoors, or at the very least in here, and then rush them inside. Though I'd rather not do it that way. I don't want to have to carry something once I've varnished it. I'll unplug this thing for a bit since I'm not using it. This is all lower parts. This feels like... Actually, I'm pretty sure this is a leg as well, given the routed shape on it. Or the lathed, the turned shape on it. That is, in fact, not. That is part of the chair back. As you can see, there's a slot cut here, which fits the back of the chair. This is going to take a significant amount of work as well. So my focus today just changed again. I'm not going to be able to get that all done today. Hopefully I'll get it done at some point soon. I am running on a bit of a time budget, so it is what it is, I'm afraid. Now, is that the other? Feels like the other one. And that one's tied in a different way. So let's get you off. Come on, get up there. Oh well, that's what I get for trying to be slick. And this should be the last part of the top of the chair. And in fact is not. That's actually one of the legs. Oops. So I have two pieces left. You guys want to play a guessing game and figure out if I open it first or second for the piece for the chair back. Because I don't want you to end up on the floor. You can get to go there. Get your votes in quick. Let's see. The one thing you can't use salted butter for is cooking. Unsalted butter works great. Use salted for eating. You can use salted butter for some things. Roasting fish, for example, is a great spot to use salted butter. But I will agree, when it comes to baking most goods, you're better off with unsalted. Pecan pie, for example, does not require salted butter. And that's actually my favorite recipe to make, because I absolutely love pecan pie. Which is ironic, because I've never been south of... what's the furthest place I've been south? Oh, probably Toronto. Though I think currently I'm actually living south of Toronto in terms of latitude. And that is not the other back, is it? Okay, everybody who said one is... Come on. There. Everybody who said one is wrong. That's the other table leg. So, the last piece I have there is obviously the second part of my chair back, or the last part of my chair back. Now, squeeze as much air out of this as possible. I'll do it this way. And then wrap that over so it's sealed-ish, and throw one of these back on it. Come on, you miserable bastard. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that bundle is our table legs. That goes back in that chair. Now, empty bag, I don't need. so I don't lose track of it in the pile of empty bags. I'm going to put my legs over here. And this should be, better be, the last piece I need for the back of the chair. And it definitely is. I can feel the slot through it. Come on, there you go. Good boy. Yep, that definitely needs a bit more work as well. But once that's all cleaned up, and these I can just do fairly quickly with a hand sheet of sandpaper. In fact, I think that one's pretty much done, other than needing, as I said before, the falling edges cleaned up. Yeah. Ouch. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to sit down and have a cigarette now that I've cleared out that chair. And see what everybody is saying a little more clearly, hopefully. Okay. That should be sufficient. Come on, layer, where are you? There. Okay. Oh, that feels good to get off my legs. Now, whoa, right in the face. Okay, for just a second I thought the entire thing was going to come down and hit me. So, tip it a bit. Okay, yeah, you're far too tippy. Let's turn you that way and watch you try to fall over. No, you can't. Good. Physics is a wonderful thing. Let's see. Lots of patina. It's actually not patina, hello. What it is the original varnish. Which, in a sense, did patina, though patina is more of a metal term. What happens is, over time, it will eventually discolor. Mince and taties is my favorite dish. Instead of pizza, fish and chips, and takeaway curry. I've never had curry that I enjoyed. Never had takeaway curry in the British style, certainly. But as far as my favorite dish, my favorite thing in the entire world to eat is very American. I like cheeseburgers. But and Callum was right. It was, in fact, the last one. Let's see. Am I trying to incorporate the discolor varnish? No, actually. I intend to remove as much of it as possible. Leave essentially as much bare wood as I can. And then I have a very light colored varnish to spray on the pieces. I'm actually very fond of the color of the actual wood. And I'd like to have that come through because, for two reasons. One, raw wood, natural wood, is a beautiful thing to look at. Look behind me. I don't mind natural wood. But also, also the discoloration is kind of gross looking. It's in trying to avoid disturbing anyone's stomachs. It's somewhat fecal in coloration. And while that's somewhat nice in some cases, it doesn't suit modern interior fashion. Generally, most people are looking for lighter colors or contrast colors. I prefer the idea of a natural light-colored wood. I believe that's probably birch that I'm working with in that piece, though it may be maple. It doesn't strike me as that hard. But also, that piece has spent time very close to an oil-fired stove, and because of that, it's gotten cooked, is the best way to put it. There are parts of it that are scorched that, in order to remove that scorching, I'd have to risk the structure of the piece itself. I'd have to risk making it unsafe to sit on. And it's meant to be both a restored piece for looks and a restored piece for function. And Prime Knight says English food sounds gay as hell. Fish and chips is good. Properly done fish and chips is very good. Don't forget, the English don't call it breaded, they call it battered. It's pretty manly. And no, I'm not trying to rebrand myself as the bandana guy, Callum. Well, you've been watching these. You know I wear a bandana most of the time when I think I might sweat. Yeah, hello. I get passionate about woodwork, and it's a piece of history that deserves to be nicely seen. Henceforth, Ardent is now known as the Bandana Barian. No, wait, that's his bandana man. Sure. But, and then of course I took the thing off. But with the raw wood, with the natural wood, with a light enough varnish, the sun will actually age the wood to the point that it changes color. I have a piece of juniper that I'm actually going to get up and show you guys that will show you exactly what I mean. Now, this was just a branch that I did a quick test piece with. And what I did, where it's still light, where the stripes of light color are, I had wrapped in tape, and then the dark is what about 2 weeks in direct sunlight does. And I think it's kind of a very interesting effect with the tape. But even without the tape, I think that's a very nice color, that deep sort of brown there. I'll just move that in so that dominates the screen. And yeah, I think that color is very nice. And surprisingly, this stick is actually strong enough to hold me up. Callum says, sorry, next to Crow, you've been gone for a while. I have been gone a while. Actually, it's been over a month since I made any real content. Other than a short or appeared on someone's stream. Wood is nice, so is stone. Yeah. Bandana guy is a Taskmaster reference. Okay, that's a different Taskmaster than I'm thinking of, I think, because I'm thinking of the guy from the Marvel Comics who got bait and switched with a chick. Badly in the Black Widow movie. But yeah, you're right. I have been gone quite a while. It's getting pretty chilly out here too. I think the next time I sit down will probably be the last time. 3:37. I've got about 25 minutes to finish what I'm doing. Oof, I don't know if I'm going to. I may run a little long, though I do have a delivery that I have to make at some point today as well. Plus, I have a load of moving items that I want to drop off before it gets too late. I definitely don't want to leave my TV in a freezing van tonight. I made the mistake of doing that with my Xbox yesterday. Though I don't think it'll really hurt the electronics. Let's see. Callum, Taskmaster's comedy game show. Oh, okay. I have seen that Taskmaster, actually. Alex Horn, where they get comedians to do ridiculous challenges for entertainment. Good fun seeing the smart from yeah, I've seen a few of those Taskmaster things. Those are it's kind of akin to that Impractical Jokers show. Though on Impractical Jokers, you have a guy with an earpiece who gets told random shit to do. Spoonie Neeson. That sounds interesting. Hello, if you're not in the British Isles, there's a few really good shows that I would recommend. Probably the oldest one that's still running is Doctor Who. Though I'd avoid anything post Capaldi and possibly Capaldi. What else? Blake's 7, if you haven't seen that, is an actually really good old British sci-fi show. What else? I did really enjoy 8 out of 10 Cats, and 8 out of 10 Cats does Countdown, until everybody started getting so bloody woke. What was the other one with Dara O'Brien? Mock the Week. Mock the Week was also good. QI. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Once they started pushing the message, it started to go to shit. My favorite side character from Doctor Who was always going to be Rory, though. Torchwood was good. Torchwood was actually my introduction to New Who. I very much enjoyed watching John Barrowman. I was introduced to him from the Arrow series with Stephen Amell, where he played one of the bad guys, and actually did a very convincing job of not being gay. Oh, come on. There we go. Can't be the bandana guy without the bandana. Yeah, Torchwood I really enjoyed, actually, because I know next to nothing about Wales, and it was interesting to see something set in Wales. Now, let's get you guys... Oh, don't mind the look up my nose. Nobody wants to see that. And I will probably not be using this thing too much more today, so I'm going to hook that up out of the way, move that magnet back over where it belongs, which is on the cabinet door. Metal cabinets being handy. Yeah, surprisingly enough, this little Chaplin-sized cane, though it flexes when I put weight on it, realize that I weigh 300 pounds, give or take. And I'm actually very impressed with how flexible and rigid that piece of juniper is. Okay, I need my gloves again. And I think I will be staying at least until I get the chair back finished. 100 grit is too light for that. What do I have here? Okay, this is 40 grit. This is probably a bad idea. We'll see how it does. I know, this is the content you all come for. Watching me work my wood. Now, again, you can see some pitting and stuff there. I'm not worried about getting that off. What I'm really working on, trying to get off, is this stuff here, the old varnish. Okay, I need to change my angle just a touch and get back to this. Right now I'm just looking for the sections that need the most work and working those over. The ends, the very ends, the stuff that the paint is still stuck in, I'm going to use the rotary tool to clear that. And once that's done, then it's going to be a case of varnishing, or gluing, varnishing, and polishing. I'll probably have to do 2 or 3 coats of varnish on this to get it where I want it in terms of comfort to sit on. Okay. Smells like birch. Okay, so that one's acceptable. What number are you? You're number 2. Okay. you can see some of the scorching I was talking about on this piece here. This is some of the old varnish, which was probably scorched pretty badly by sitting too close to a wood stove for a long time. But most of that should be removable. Yeah, and I can just show you this again now. From here to here, you can see, though, that even though the old varnish, which is what this stuff is removed, some of the scorching remains, and probably won't come off. And I don't necessarily want to take it off because that actually tells a bit of a story, so... come on. And for the record, this is one hell of an arm workout. Okay, that's come off as much as it will. You can still see there's quite a bit of scorch there. You can see a nifty little dividing line there. Let me see if I can get that even more sharp. There you go. And that is where the scorching happened. I'm not particularly worried about getting all of that off, so there's a particularly bad scorch mark there. That was probably pushed against the stove at some point. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get too much more of that off. Even with the 40 grit. For the record, too, if you guys aren't familiar with sandpaper, 40 grit is actually very aggressive. Which actually tells you something about the durability of that old paint, let alone the varnish. I'm starting to work very hard for very little return here at this point, so that's probably the best I'm going to get on this piece. And you can see the contrast in those two pieces. This one would have been further away from the fire. That one would have been far closer to it. Which actually helps me when I go to assemble this, because as you can see, this arm, this is part of the back. There's very little apparent scorching on this, whereas this one has much more apparent scorching. So that tells me that this arm, or this brace, belongs closer to this side than it does to the other. And this one is 5. That shouldn't be 5. That one's 2. 5. I think I had 5. Hang on. If I have 5, I'm missing a piece. 4. 4. Oh, wait. No, never mind. No, that's R. That's 3. That's 4. I'm guessing I'm counting one of those big arms as 6, and the other one is 1. Oops. Okay. So these two have to go over here. Okay, I see some chats have come in, so let me just have a quick look here. Mock the Week was good. Hated it when they went EU woke shit. Mock the Week was best when, the Scottish fella, Frankie Boyle, was at his peak. QI was good. QI is still kind of decent to watch. It's just that Sandy is nowhere near the intellectual powerhouse that Steven was. It's kind of like Jeopardy here in North America. With Alex Trebek gone, it's just not the same. Mock the Week ended Series 17. Same age the BBC does to anything to do with anymore. Oh, the age the BBC doesn't want anything to do with anymore. Yeah. Let's see. Nish Kumar is in Series 5 of Taskmaster. God, he's stupid and funny as hell. His average score is 1. Oh, God. Callum says, fire. I'd love to have a fireplace again. God, the food we could cook on that, the heat produced. Fantastic. Wood stoves, when I was a kid, were going out of fashion. But my father insisted on having one in the house for power outages and such like that, and some of the best meals I ever ate were cooked on it. Okay, that one's also scorched, as you can see. This is 3, and some of the scorching seems to have driven some of the paint deeper than it should have been. Though I don't think that's necessarily true. There's a good chip in there, too. I'm not super concerned with getting all the paint off. I just want to get the majority of the color out of it so it shows off the natural wood. Yeah, that scorch is something else. That's hard on the shoulders. I didn't touch that one yet. That goes back over here. Just trying to keep my work surface organized now. Something else you can see as well very clearly is how much of a bend these pieces have in them. That would be from someone probably racking the chair quite a lot when they were younger. One of my uncles, probably. You guys can't see what I'm doing, sorry. There we go. Yeah, that scorch isn't coming off either. Whew. Okay. No, let's not do it that way. Okay. Yeah. Okay, that's mostly scorch on that end. I believe it was Hello earlier asking if I was trying to incorporate the old varnish. I'm not, but I end up with some of the color of the old varnish because of dents and dings and such as well. Because this was a used family room chair. Here in Newfoundland, family generally gathers in the kitchen to talk, and the what was known as the parlor, and now is the living room, would have been reserved for dignitaries of some sort or another. The parish priest is a good example. Now, this stuff, I'm not 100% sure how to get that off. I think I'm probably going to end up using the rotary tool completely for that. Now, speaking of the rotary tool, I'm going to be going back to that for a little bit here. So this is the noise warning. And yeah, I'll be cleaning up the ends of these with this fairly quickly here, I hope.
So I just realized how very badly worn down this brush has gotten. I think I can finish these pieces, but I'm no way going to be able to do the big ones. So I will finish this, have a smoke, and then I have to go. So yeah, this won't be much longer now. So this has simply stopped working now. As you can see, the brushes bristles are much shorter than when I started, and I'm just going to have to quit. So I'll see what I can do with that with a bit of sandpaper, but I'm not going to be finishing this today after all. This is probably going to be a springtime finish, unfortunately. Unless we get a very long stretch of warm weather in the next week or two. But I suspect this will end up being a finished in the new shed plan. Speaking of which, if you'd like to support me and provide me help towards that new shed, you can send me cash through
think it's PayPal. Or you can subscribe on Subscribestar, or well, there's other stuff. Anyway, yes, Western Time. It is in fact later man time. I will be quitting here shortly. I'm going to have a smoke, and then I'm done. Unfortunately, yeah, I won't be able to finish this the way I wanted to. And yeah, I'm just going to have to live with that unfortunate occurrence at this point. So I'll get this stuff put away and wrapped up again. On the upside, I did make a lot of really good progress today. So there's that. No, I didn't get quite as much air out of it as I should have. There we go. That feels like better. Okay, so that's back and legs and the chair and the back of the chair that have to be wrapped up. Oh yeah, I was talking about the scorching on the back of the chair seat, and you can see that right here. See how it's much darker on this side, and I did spend quite a lot of time sanding this to try to get that color out. Before I realized what it was that was causing that color. And unfortunately, it's just not going to happen. So that is what it is at this point. Let me see here. Callum says it's nice to watch the blemishes vanish. Yeah. It's one of my favorite parts of working on a piece of wood, is working and seeing it disappear. Let's see. Hello says, for me, the smells of burning wood and coal invokes pleasant childhood fall, winter, and springtime memories from growing up in North Dakota. Let me see. Western Kind says later. 07 Bryce out. See you later, Western Kind. Callum says he's got to walk the dog in 30 minutes. Not looking forward to it. Poor girl is sick. That's a shame. Hopefully she gets better. I'm guessing it's probably nothing terribly serious. Two of our dogs have been dealing with some sort of ear issue lately, or eye issue rather. Zeus and Zoe, the two larger dogs. And what it looks like is possibly something from one of the cats. May have been a little infectious, but I don't know 100% for sure. I've given Zeus what care I can, and he seems to be recovering nicely. Zoe, I guess, is going to go through the same, how to put it, routine of illness. So if it's the same timeline, then it should be another week or so, and Zoe should be fine. We did end up having to put down one of Stormy's cats. It was actually her recently deceased grandmother's cat that had passed. She had passed, rather, the grandmother. And the cat was very old, very sick. And while we initially did intend to take it in, take care of it, it simply was, it was not in a state of health that was conducive to recovery, unfortunately. And he ended up having to get put down, which ended up being my job. And yeah, I've been present a few times for animals being put to sleep, and it's not a lot of fun either way. But if you're the type to console yourself with this thought, he is in fact in a better place. So now he's chasing mice in heaven for Jesus and Lemmy. Okay, get on there. There we go. Okay, and that should be sealed up well enough for a while. And that's probably going to sit there till the spring now, unfortunately. And again, I'm disappointed that that ended up that way, but such things are, life does not always produce us the situations we'd like to, or the circumstances we'd like to have the way we'd like to have them. That's where that thing is. That can go over there, though. So, while I was hoping you guys would see me use some of this today, it's just not going to happen. 5 likes and 2 watching. Thank you. So yeah, it's been almost 3 hours. Got the squirts and blood in it. Oof, that's not good. How old is she, Callum? And what breed? That might be germane too. Let's see. Callum says, condolences. No, the pain lasts very well. Recently, I remember. He says he was lucky he got to take his cat home and have one night with her. And held her when she departed. Yeah, it's kind of the duty. A 2-year-old Labrador, and she's crapping blood. That's interesting. Labradors are awesome dogs. I grew up with Labradors, Beagles, Newfoundlands, Bloodhounds. Lots of hunting and working dogs. That sounds extremely unusual for a Labrador at 2 years old, though. Is it possible she's eaten something? And mid-lockdown, you don't remember exactly. Okay. Is it possible she's eaten something that's gotten stuck in her system, maybe? I'm guessing you've had her in for x-rays. And I hope it goes without saying you got her from a reputable breeder. Let's see. Don't think I missed anybody here. So I'm going to slip back real quick and say thanks to everybody who was here. Callum, Western Kind, Sasquatch, Prime Knight, hello. Don't think I've missed anybody. I'll go right back to the beginning here. Vorpal Anvil. Let's see who else. I know Maureen was in briefly. I don't know if she's still here. If she is, hi Maureen. Just waiting for Callum's last. Maybe don't. We've not taken her to the vet yet, but very will soon. In a bit of a kerfuffle at the moment. Oh, okay, don't know. Yeah. And Blackout. Sorry, Blackout. I knew I forgot somebody. And I should be absolutely ashamed of myself for forgetting a fellow Sultan. In any case, guys, speaking of Sultans, you can find me there on Saturday. The plan is to have my show back up and running this weekend. Christopher, Trim, and I, along with Florian, we will be playing a game on the 19th session of the Hunter RP. And I know Bez is trying to pin me down to talk about DMing Sultans campaign, which I very well might do. Well, I've already offered to do it. Though I was attempting to talk the guys into doing Heroes Unlimited, so we'll see. Or possibly something outside the regular mainstream RPG set. So possibly Earth Dawn. If you guys have any ideas, feel free to email them to me. Any thoughts about that, actually? Speaking of, if you want to support me, follow me, or any of that stuff, all those links are in the description. Blackout says we should join the Conan campaign. Which Conan campaign is that? Let's see. Callum says he's missed the last few. I did. Life meddling with things. Have to catch up, and we'll hang out for D&D stuff and Sultans campaign. Okay. Yeah. If I do end up running a D&D campaign, I'll probably... Oh, with Patriot, you said TBP. Okay. Speaking of which, I think Patriot's Flow was in briefly, too. Callum says he's messing around with the Sultan's Kingdom ID at the moment, trying to practice world-building skills. Oh, the one you guys do on Saturdays in the Brunchcast server. Okay. I'll have to keep an eye out for that, then, for sure. That's why you had to duck out at 11. Ah, I see. Okay. Since it's on Saturdays, it's unlikely that I'll see it because Sultans tends to keep one wrapped up for most of the day if you live in North America. But yeah, please do, the shilling thing. I'm just tired. I don't want to do the shilling thing. Redbubble, Getter, Gab, Truth Social, Twitter, X, whatever the fuck Elon wants to call it. Which, I'm sorry, you want to show videos on X. Would those be X videos? Okay, if you weren't already committed to the Conan campaign, stick around. Yeah, I understand that. I don't think it's going to be done as part of the regular schedule of Sultan stuff. It'll probably be something once a month, once a week. It depends on how much everyone is willing to be pinned down. Blackout says he uploaded the next video yesterday. Congratulations. Have you also uploaded it to X Hamster? And Callum says social media is why he tries to avoid it, only messes around on YouTube and Discord. Yeah, there's a couple of new streaming platforms and an older one that I'm looking at too. BitChute is one of them. Odyssey, possibly Entropy. I'm looking at those because I may expand what I'm doing. I may start using a different broadcasting software. Currently, I'm just using whatever OBS provides and doing that through Rumble and YouTube. But as I said earlier, I'm planning to start video game streaming. Mostly because in my off time, I do a lot of video gaming. And I'm going to have a lot of off time over the winter. So yeah, keep an eye out. I also, Rumble is in fact decent. It's coming along. It needs some work on the app for sure. They need to come up with some sort of saved list system because they have nothing for a watch later system at this point. Even if you had something like a saved queue or something, would be nice. Other than that, I'm coming up on the 3-hour mark fairly rapidly. So yeah, Redbubble, Subscribestar. You guys can find me on Discord. Need to let you turn off autoplay next. That would be nice. I tend to use a browser for Rumble. Sorry, I've got a splinter in my arm. Ouch. That was fun. Yeah, there's quite a few features that Rumble needs to either add or shift differently. I think right now they're focusing on their app, which isn't necessarily a bad idea. I really hope they don't go to the shorts format too much. Obviously, my YouTube shorts get re-uploaded to Rumble, but that is what it is. So yeah, guys, I am done for the day. Done out here for at least the foreseeable, probably for good. The next time I do a live stream where I'm working with wood, it will hopefully be from my new shed. It may very well be an outdoors stream at the new place. And I've got a bit of a Dutch tilt going again. Sorry. But other than that, thanks very much for being here. And, share it, like it, comment, subscribe if you haven't. Let's see. Hello gets the last word. As much as you can do to insulate yourself from the algorithm, the better. No recommended or related bullshit. I kind of really appreciate it when YouTube pokes me up in the algorithm. So, in any case, guys, I am out of here. So, as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye. Almost forgot to do that.